what's going on, all my knights? Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you guys comment below while you guys are here. Have you guys ever looked at this keyword search and just kind of not paid attention to it? Well, why not? This is like one of the most important things in the game. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to dive into this. This is good intel. We need to know this. Let's jump into it. Welcome back, my fellow knights. So this video is going to be a good one. This video is going to teach us what is going on. Like, I legitimately thought all shadow damage was darkness damage. I really did. Like, I thought the two were interchangeable. I just thought one was the same. Okay, so we're going to do this right now. We're going to look at Bone Storm. Bone Storm, look at right under rank 1. It says ultimate and then it says bone. Those are the two boxes checked, right? So that's what it is. And then if you go down to the bottom, it does physical damage, okay? So you're kind of thinking, like, if you originally think about this, you're like, okay, this is specifically for bone skills. You know, this is going to be the old bone spear. You know, it's a bone one. You know, just leave it as bone. Don't be doing this. And then you're like, hold on. You pull out the old ultimate shadow, and this is the aspect of your Bone Storm and your Blood Wave. We're not using Blood Wave. Our darkness skills. You're like, what? Darkness skills. All right, cool. And they deal shadow damage. And they have an additional effect. So basically everything that it's doing is just shadow damage, and it is a darkness skill. So if there's any things that say they amplify darkness damage, they're actually amplifying your Bone Storm, which is, you know, you have a bone, but it's also for blood wave too. So you could be a blood guy and you could be a bone guy and you could still be doing shadow damage. And this additional effect does 1,164 shadow damage over 2 seconds. So it applies a shadow dot. So we originally saw that Bone Storm was just a bone. It's just doing bone damage, right? So let's go over here now that we got this bad boy rolling. Scroll on down here. And hold the horses. We no longer see physical damage on the bottom right. We got shadow damage. And now if you see up top here, we have ultimate, we have bone, and now we have darkness. So now it's the darkness skill. The best way to see all of your darkness, guys, is just to come over here to keyword search. And what we're going to want, we're just going to come right here, darkness. This is going to show us everything that relates to darkness. So now everything that is highlighted has a darkness applied to it. So it has something to do with darkness. So Shadow Blight does do shadow damage. It just puts basically a debuff on them. And that debuff means that you do bonus damage to them for 2 seconds. So that's all that first one is doing. And then the second one is every 10th time an enemy receives shadow damage. So every time it gets hit by a bone spear, you know, it's getting hit 10 times, right? Now, if they're affected by Shadow Blight, they take an additional 16 to 2,000. It's 22% shadow damage. So then after 10 times, boom, it hits it with the shadow damage. And then that shadow damage basically kind of procs this again, because this gets affected by shadow damage. So this kind of can proc its own self. And then it just, everything getting done to it is just an additional damage. So that does not do darkness. You know, you'll come over here to our buddy Gloom. Gloom will do shadow damage. It not necessarily shadow damage, but it's a shadow skill, or it's a damage skill, excuse me. So there's not really a darkness damage. It's just darkness is kind of a thing, kind of like crit damage versus vulnerable. You know, like it's vulnerable, and then when you crit it, that vulnerable part does more, like it has its own multipliers in there. So that's kind of what this darkness is. This darkness is kind of necromancers' ways of kind of getting their own vulnerable. It's just another bucket for them to start dumping into. So it kind of makes it more convoluted. You really got to go through your keyword search, and you really got to identify really what is going to do shadow damage. So Sever will do, it has darkness applied onto it. It's kind of weird, and you really wouldn't know that it's a darkness skill at all if you're just reading it. I mean, yes, it does have darkness above it. So, but if you're just reading the skill, like this is how I was doing it. I was originally just reading a skill. I have no idea. Like I see shadow damage. Like, okay, I didn't like up top on the core, and I didn't even look at that. It's just things that are there that I'm just starting to identify now. So I'm just trying to relay this info to you guys. So this is a darkness bucket. So gloom will proc off of this because this is darkness. I don't know how it is darkness. It just tells us it's darkness. So I'm assuming the game is being honest with us, right? Corp explosion too. So corp explosion will do darkness. So this gloom down here will start allowing your corpse explosion to do more damage, because this blighted corpse explosion becomes a darkness skill. Instead of it exploding, it releases shadow damage, and it releases it as a dot. It's kind of like an explosion. It just looks a little different, basically. And then you go down here, and whatever is highlighted in here, that's a darkness skill. So, all right, so we'll go with that. And now, like, let's just say, I mean, you can use this for anything, right? So if you want to figure out what's shadow damage, okay, all right, well, looks like I got Sever. Sever is a shadow damage. So then you can click this thing and then shadow. And then, so this will deal direct shadow damage. You'll kind of look over here and like, why is Blight not having shadow? Because Blight is more or less a dot. All right, guys, and that's going to be, so like, let's just say you click shadow. Be careful for shadow, because, you look at Blight and you look at the purples and you're like, oh my, why is Blight not over there? Well, Blight is a shadow damage over time. So we want to make sure we click this guy right here, uncheck that box, and then we can get this one. It also opened up decompose as well. I'm not really using that, but I'm just showing you guys, okay? It also, if you see over here, corpse explosion, boom, now it's starting, because it's a dot. It's a damage over time. So you can also, see your damages over time. This is going to be a damage over time, right? This is something I really don't even think of Bone Storm as a dot, but it is a dot. It's kind of a little deceiving as well, because if you go down here, it doesn't even have Bone Storm highlighted in either one of these, which is weird to me, because the aspect we have tells us that it does shadow damage over time, but I guess it just doesn't read on here that way, even though it says shadow damage on there. So there's some weird things about this, but this thing will say darkness. So it says darkness, but it doesn't want to say that it's shadow damage. So I don't know, man. There's a lot. It's really goofy in here. I've just started like monkeying with this stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that's still pretty weird, and it just doesn't make sense. But I just kind of want to push that information out to you guys. Knowledge is power. Just more things, more tools in your guys' shed for you guys to have. Everything I know, I want everybody else to know. So anyways, guys, all my knights out there, all my dark knights out there, that's what we're calling us. That's what we are now. That's what the crew is. So anyways, you guys made it this far. Make sure you guys are clicking the like. Make sure you guys are commenting below. Give me something, guys. I need some help. Let me get in these rotations. Let me get in these algorithms. I would appreciate that, guys, very much. I like bringing content. Help me bring more content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.